The Bully Resistance Show with David Wells is brought to you by Nathan Alfred Insurance, an independent insurance agency located in Vienna, West Virginia. They specialize in auto, home, life, and business insurance. What makes this agency unique is their ability to shop the market for you. This episode of the Bully Resistance Show is also brought to you by Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, located in Parkersburg, West Virginia. If you have a home to sell or buy, no one will do a better job than Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. You can now help us fight against bullying in the public schools and support the Bully Resistance Show with David Wells and becoming a dollar sponsor per episode. Or if you're a business owner, you can become a $5 VIP sponsor. For more information, go to my website at www.davebond.org. That's www.davebond.org.
Welcome, everyone, to the Bully Resistance Show with David Wells, nationally known smooth jazz artist, CEO and co-founder of the Chocolate Jazz Foundation, and the co-host of a 2-hour syndicated radio program called Chocolate Jazz Radio. Bully Resistance is a weekly 1-hour show that's a motivational, informative, and inspirational program. We will have interviews with musicians, actors, government officials, politicians, psychologists, counselors, and just average day citizens. Of course, the topics will include making the right choices, never giving up desire, discipline, determination, bullying in public school, the workplace, and in your community, bully resistance and prevention, self-defense, jiu-jitsu, and current affairs, and much, much more. And if you're ready, we are. Here's your host, David Wells.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Bully Resistance Show with David Wells. My name is David Wells, and today we have a special guest that currently lives in Parkland, Florida. He's a parent of 2 kids that have either gone to school or is currently going to school in the Parkland School District in Florida. He also actually majored in marketing and business at West Virginia University, of course, in Morgantown. And one of the things that I like about him, he's been training jiu-jitsu for several years and also competes religiously or has been competing religiously, which we'll also get into later in the program. So at this time, I want to introduce Chuck Flint on the Bully Resistance Show. Chuck, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me, David. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to jump right in to what happened last Wednesday. I know it's a sensitive subject and it's still fresh in our minds in regards to the Parkland, Florida School District. I just found out last night that shooting that took place was actually the 9th deadliest shooting in modern U.S. history. That being said, can you take us back where you were, what you were doing, how you found out about the shooting?
Well, it happened, as you know, on Valentine's Day, and it so happened to be my day off. I'm usually off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and after my morning workout, I was kind of laying around the house waiting for my son to come home, and I got a text message that there had been a shooting in the high school, and that they were going to be holding up the students coming home from school. But it didn't really say much. And quite honestly, I thought it was probably a big overreaction to something very minor and wasn't very concerned.
Sure.
I got a call a little while later from my wife, who got a call from another mother. But still, I thought, here's these Parkland moms, these upper middle class people, freaking out about a non-event was my original thought.
So then when did you start realizing that, okay, this is a lot worse than I thought?
I think I started seeing it on on the social media or on TV, it appeared, it just kept snowballing and getting worse and worse and worse. We didn't know how many casualties there were, but it was certain that there were gunshots fired within Stoneman Douglas. My daughter had already graduated from Stoneman, although she knew some people in the school. But my son was right next door at Westglades, and the properties are contiguous, so there was potential for danger for him as well.
So let me ask you this. So when your wife and you found out that, okay, this is a little bit more than we expected, did you guys immediately go to the school, or did they just say, everyone just stay away from the school for right now for security purposes, or what happened from there?
Well, my wife and my daughter were actually in Orlando, coincidentally, at that time. I was the only one home. I figured that if there was a police action going on, and, once I got to understand the scale of it, that there's no way I could come anywhere close to the perimeter. And, what is it that I could possibly do except for impede, the police and the first responders? So I didn't go to the school. I waited to hear when I would be able to go that way.
Okay. Now, did your son happen to text you?
Yeah, we were texting back and forth after about, it must have been after, close to 4 by the time I got him to respond to my text.
Okay. When this has climaxed to the highest point, did they have your son, what did they have your son do? Did he stay in a room locked up? Or did they immediately rush him out of the school? I mean, what did he go through? They
kept the kids in the school, and they didn't have a normal dismissal. Obviously, the roads were all blocked off, and they still had not caught the alleged shooter until maybe 2 hours after the event. So the kids were kind of corralled at the school and waiting, and I was in touch with my son during that time, trying to figure out what would be the best way to get him back home. He did have some friends who live on that side of town where the moms could have potentially picked him up. And actually, eventually, that's what happened. One of the moms on that side of town was able to get him, but he didn't actually get out of there until close to 7:30 at night.
Oh, he did not. Well, I thought I was actually looking at the news, and it seems like, it was pretty light when kids were coming out with their hands up.
Yeah. So the high school gets out, I think around 2:30.
Okay.
And I believe that the incident occurred somewhere around 2:00 towards the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken. The junior high school gets out about an hour or an hour and a half later than that, closer to 3:30.
Okay.
My son usually is home by about 4:20, but everything was tremendously delayed. And even still, it's Wednesday, so 1 week from the event today. That side of town is all bottlenecked because of all the investigative personnel out that way, and also the news crews, and with memorial services, and today we had protests out that way, so that part of town is tremendously traffic jammed.
Sure. Now, what grade is your son in?
My son's in 7th grade.
So this is the junior high. If I was looking at this right, is connected to the high school. Is that correct?
Yeah, the properties are adjacent.
Okay. I'm not for sure if Chuck, if you've been keeping up with all the shootings in the last month, but a couple of weeks ago, of course, there was a shooting in Kentucky where 2 students were killed, and of course, I think 18 or 19 injured. And then the week before, there was a shooting in Texas, and then, of course, last week, this shooting in Parkland. Let me ask you this. What, you being a parent of something that has been so tragic and that has affected